Morning, everybody. Um, so obviously we're not having class this weekend as I'm out of town. But like we talked about last weekend, we have that fun little test. Relax, it's not a test. You can use the internet, you can use resources, you can use a Bible. I actually encourage you to use a Bible or the internet because a couple of them is looking up Bible verses. Use your parents. At least try to use your parents. I'm kind of curious to see what they know too. There are personal answer questions. Give me something. Just even a line, a single sentence, it works. So, on to our normal, since we had a bloody last week, or relatively bloody last week, we get our nice one this week. So, Tuesday, the 29th, last Tuesday, was the Feast of the Archangels. So, these are the three named archangels that we know, mainly Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. So I'm going to start with a Raphael story. Mainly we see him come out in the book of Tobit, shortest book of the Bible, so I recommend reading it. It's actually really fun. It more or less opens with a guy getting bird poop in his eyes and then going blind. So it's interesting. Raphael meets our protagonist for the book of Tobit and goes with him. Things happen, don't want to spoil the whole story, but essentially Raphael reveals his form and chases a demon all the way across Egypt. Gabriel is a story that most people know. He's the messenger, the announcer. We see him probably most prominent in the Annunciation of the birth of Christ, where he comes to Mary, and Hail Mary, full of grace, where we get that whole prayer from. When he goes to Joseph, he's normally the one we see preceding major events because he comes to tell everybody. And then your last archangel, Michael, is the protector. We say the St. Michael prayer after all the masses to invoke protection and just generally help. Michael was the angel in the garden with the big fiery sword. We see Michael again in Revelations. He's considered the forefront, the leader, the general of the armies of Christ, and when they go to do battle with the armies of the devil come end times. Now, archangels seem big and powerful. Actually not. Well, I mean, they are, but in the hierarchy of angels, they're fairly low. You have angels, the general angels that we see, hear about, think about. Then you have archangels. Then you have... Alright, so from a more or less hierarchical structure, because we don't exactly know, because no one really deigned to tell us, we have angels, things most people think about. We have archangels, which are these larger named angels that we have: Raphael, Gabriel, Michael. Then there are principalities, powers, virtues, dominions, thrones, cherubim, and up at the top we have seraphim. You're likely going to recognize some of those powers, principalities, thrones, and dominions. We say that and we reference that in a part of the Mass. And Christ, I know, references it a couple times in the New Testament. Didn't think those were angels, did you? So it's interesting to see how we actually have all of these things and they're intermixed, but we don't always realize that they're intermixed. We don't always realize that they're all around us, that they are a part of our life and a part of the general story of God, Christ, us as Catholics. And that's the fun thing, is here are these named angels, and because they're named and because we know them, you can take them as your confirmation saints. Because again, like we were talking about last week, saints aren't things that we worship or aren't people that we worship. Rather, they're people that we ask for their intercession, their help with specific issues, with specific things, because they're closer to God. We know they're in heaven because they're saints. we know they're in heaven, or at least communication with heaven, because they're angels. Angels are close to God. So, what you're going to do for this week is take that test. It's not that long. It's 30 questions, which I know seems like a lot. Half of it is actual academic questions and things. The other half is just personal answer. So, shouldn't be too hard. A lot of it is stuff we went over last year. So that's really the point of this, is to see how much we remember from last year. And then I want you guys to send that back to me. I email either you or your folks, so just send it back to me in a reply to that email. And next week, next Sunday, we will be in person again. Everything will be like normal again. And that's it. As a reminder, by December, we want to have our saints picked out for confirmation. By December, we want your sponsors picked, because we need to start moving and start shifting gears into other stuff. Alright, have a good weekend, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.